You can call it horror. Or you can call it Western if you prefer.
Damn you!
I call it a baptism in violence. What's up, freaks? Welcome to The Laughing Dead, your top destination for terror in the Old West. As always, I'm your host, Ethan, and tonight we're digging into one of the most unique cinematic hybrids ever put on film, 2015's Bone Tomahawk. Written and directed by S. Craig Zahler. A bit of a Hollywood outsider, Zahler is celebrated by most, but whined about nearly as often. His trademark grit and stomach-turning practical effects are showcased in all his films, effectively blending any genre of his choosing with horrific visuals, resulting in a truly unique filmography, with every one of his films worth checking out. So with no further introduction, The Laughing Dead proudly presents Bone Tomahawk. Let's dive in. This film opens on the realities of the American frontier as a pair of literal cutthroats complete their ruthless deed. As they rummage through their victims' bags, they hear the sound of approaching riders, driving them up the hill into a foreboding canyon trail. At every turn, the environment gives dire warning. Rancid totems mark the way, and the thickening air is cut by the eerie howl of an unknown creature.
You hear that?
Still, the bandits trudge deeper into the canyon until they come to a clearing that looks exactly like the type of place you don't go fucking around.
We shouldn't be going someplace that looks like a burial ground.
Well, this pair of hapless villains are definitely balls over brains because they stomp right through the sacred space just far enough for Captain Spaulding to get his guts rearranged. And I've got to say, bravo. The intro to this film perfectly sets the tone and gives just a teaser of the debauchery to come. David Arquette's character escapes the canyon and makes his way to the nearby town of Bright Hope. Despite burying his weapons and bloody loot, Sheriff Hunt has his number. He gaffles up the drifter in the saloon, hobbling him with a bullet to the leg. This sets the stage for tragedy when Sheriff sends for Mrs. Samantha O'Dwyer.
Good evening, Mrs. O'Dwyer.
She's a local medic tasked with keeping the drifter alive long enough to face a rope. And with that, all the dominoes are set. You see, the drifter here, he's a marked man. He's offended the cave dwellers found in the Valley of the Starving Men. And unfortunately for the fine folks of Bright Hope, troglodytes don't file complaints. They come collect. That night, without warning, the tribe breaches the town. The silence of the night spoiled by the crack of bone and the weight of bodies hitting the floor. By dawn, Samantha O'Dwyer is gone. Deputy Nick is gone. And Zahler reminds us that the frontier is a place where help just doesn't arrive. You either gotta go get her yourselves or bury what's left later. So Sheriff Hunt forms himself a posse. 4 men who are painfully human. Mr. O'Dwyer, a husband with a shattered leg and more stubbornness than good sense. John Bruder, a dapper young gunslinger, too cunning and damaged to be a hero. And Chicory, God bless him, a man who can make you laugh while you're bleeding out.
Are any of you somnambulous?
That's private.
Nearly unrecognizable from his role as the dad in Step Brothers,
which eliminates the need to put your face between those breasts.
Richard Jenkins steals every scene with his genuine portrayal of a simple and good-hearted man. All the while, a growing sense of unease is constantly just beneath the surface. Camping beneath cold stars, every sound carries menace. Every mile chips away at hope. The injury to O'Dwyer's leg becomes its own antagonist, his suffering only outweighed by his resolve. Even after horse thieves strike in the night and make off with the men's mounts, O'Dwyer still trudges on, his dedication edging beyond a point of reckless self-abandon. He breaks and re-breaks his leg. An infection sets in, yet still he pushes forward. Only after Chicory has to reset his broken leg yet again are the men forced to leave him behind. Then comes the ambush. It's not staged like an action scene, it's staged like a train derailment. A storm of arrows from nowhere, burying themselves in flesh like the earth itself wants them dead. Chicory gets bashed in with a rock, Bruder loses his gun hand and chooses to throw in the towel.
I'm far too vain to ever live as a cripple.
A reminder that the rescue party was never in control. By the time the survivors reach the Valley of the Starving Men, the line between Western and horror is gone. And this is where Bone Tomahawk bares its teeth. See, the troglodytes, they're not portrayed as supernatural monsters. They're much more believable than that. They're the natural consequence of inbreeding, cannibalism, and isolation. For generations, they've lived in these caves, surviving off the flesh of captives and their own offspring alike. Over time, they've mutated and degenerated into feral beasts, far removed from anything you could call human. After Sheriff Hunt and Chicory are captured, the film finally cashes the check it's been writing. We find ourselves in the troglodyte's lair, a dank, putrid space, purpose-built to hold people like livestock. We find that Mrs. O'Dwyer and Deputy Nick are still alive, though thoroughly traumatized. Which leads to the moment anyone who's seen this movie can never forget. Savages pull Deputy Nick from his cage, peel his scalp from his skull, and that's just a start. Still alive and screaming bloody murder, they bisect him before your very eyes. They cut the sound of butchery with the sound of his agony instead of music. It's unflinching, barbaric, and shocking in its realism. And that's when you understand there's no magic here, just twisted men and the worst things that men can become. O'Dwyer finally catches up. After tearing out one of the beast's throat whistles, he uses it like a twisted hunting call to further thin the tribe's numbers. Using his wits, he avoids the Death Funnel Canyon entrance and opts to go around, making his way to the mouth of the cave. And in the middle of all this horror hell, Sheriff Hunt does the most Western thing imaginable. He chooses martyrdom over survival, sacrifice over escape. It's not a blaze of glory, it's a man deciding that if someone has to hold the door against the darkness,
Put that Peter in my hands.
it may as well be him. Chicory and O'Dwyer narrowly escape with Samantha, not victorious, but alive. It isn't a triumph, it's survival at best. And sometimes that's all the frontier awards you. Final thoughts. Bone Tomahawk is a one-of-a-kind masterpiece that flawlessly blends the heroic rescue themes of Western films with savage horror that somehow fits right in.
Well done, sir.
The performances are top-notch all around, connecting the viewer with characters they're not expected to like, but more importantly, characters they can believe.
But you said it so mean.
With a runtime clocking in well over 2 hours, the film plays out like an epic, and despite the long runtime, it's paced extremely well, only slowing to contribute to the rich character development. It's for these reasons that Bone Tomahawk is one of my all-time favorites, and one I feel I had to share. If you had a good time tonight, show some love, hit that like and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment suggesting another amazing horror western hybrid, or tell me all the things I missed in this one. As always, I'm Ethan, and remember, if you laugh when others scream, you found your home. This has been The Laughing Dead. Thanks for tuning in.